Welcome everyone to today's discussion. Today we are going to have Andrea with us, and she is a professional addiction counselor and also had her own recovery story. And we're gonna learn a little bit about her today, and please welcome her. Andrea, would you please introduce yourself a bit more?
Hi everyone. So my name is Andrea, and it is correct. I'm an addiction counselor and also a recovering addict. I will become 7 years clean this October, so it's coming up soon. My drug of choice were pills, mostly sleeping pills and tranquilizers.
Hmm. Well, I congratulate you, first of all. 7 years is pretty cool. That's really nice. I would love to know a little bit more about how your whole journey started and how it has been solved. But first of all, what was a point in your journey that was like you felt like, okay, I need to change stuff?
There were several points in my life where I felt that something needs to be changed, but my attempts weren't successful before. I tried to quit 2 times in a hospital or in hospitals. I stayed there 2 weeks both times, and the minute I got home, I started using again. So those weren't successful at all. And in 2018, I had my so-called rock bottom, where I figured this can't go on anymore. So I called someone, a psychiatrist that I trusted, that I needed help, and he helped me instantly. So I went to a hospital only for a few days to get off of the medicines, and then I went into rehab for two long months, and since then
Mm.
I've been clean.
Okay, so the rehab was helping you.
It was a necessity. I needed it. I couldn't do it uh, on an ambulant way at home.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if I understand correctly, the reason you understood that this was a problem because you couldn't really stop even when you wanted to, right?
No, I needed it every day, almost every hour. I wasn't really functioning. Um, I was somewhat functioning in the first like 7 years of my using. I did work and I did have friendships and relationships. I also had a marriage from 2010 with a drug addict person. And then in the last 2 or 3 years of my using, everything went downhill. I became unfunctional, and then it had to stop eventually.
Wow, okay, so even I guess because of your marriage, even your environment kind of made you more vulnerable, right?
Exactly, and we were supportive of each other of the using. So
Oh.
whenever someone wanted to stop someone, the other had something to use, and it was really tempting. So we
Hmm.
just didn't help each other.
That makes a lot of sense. And so I guess before you went to rehab, have you tried to quit from like by yourself?
In the last few years, I had seizures quite often if I skipped any hour of taking drugs. So I realized that it would be really risky, or so to say, dangerous to quit alone. That's why I started to go to hospitals to quit, but none of those were successful. Alone, I didn't try because I knew that it would cause a big trouble. So
Mm.
it I didn't even try.
Interesting. Well, so there is some differences in like pornography and substance use addiction, but I also feel like when it comes to pornography addiction, I think a lot of people don't even realize that when they try to quit and they do it like instantly, they are going to have like huge cravings and even depression and stuff if because they're gonna have a withdrawal symptoms. And I guess it's a bit different for drugs and stuff, but it did have like serious consequences when you stopped by yourself.
Exactly. I think it doesn't really matter if it's substance addiction or behavioral addiction. Both of them uh, make you have to use your drug of choice. And this time I use drug as an expression for porn as well. And probably it's much more difficult to quit alone. And probably it needs to go day by day and not end cold turkey. And I always suggest to my clients as well that they should really, well, they already ask for help, but I suggest to everyone not to quit alone and seek for help, whether it be an addiction counselor or a psychologist or whoever, or even a hospital, and then self help groups like NA or there's SLAA, Sex and Love Addict Anonymous, 12-step groups. Those help so much with the cravings and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like community is very important. Like isolation doesn't really help in addiction, that's for sure. And I would never advise anyone to do it alone, for sure. And so while you were going through this process of recovery, I'm sure you learned a lot. And so what were some of your beliefs you thought that was right, but then turned out, okay, this works a little bit differently?
When I went into rehab, I thought that I didn't have to quit everything, just the pills. I thought I was going to be able to drink once in a while, and that was going to work. But then I realized that addiction is addiction, regardless of what the drug of choice is. And to work or to have a life that is fulfilled and clean, I have to quit all substance that changes my mental health. So that was something I found out during my rehabilitation, for sure.
Oh yeah. So you found out that actually not only, well, so my analogy for this is when you take out something like an addiction that has such a huge impact on the body, something has to replace it, because it's going to, right? It's going to create a vacuum. And so what you were, I mean, if I understand correctly, you were saying that you kind of had to work on other things as well, right? To make sure that you are balanced.
Yes, that's correct. But also, I had to say goodbye to the thought of even having a drink in my life,
Ah, yeah.
because
Okay, makes sense.
I know that I figured out that that would draw me into addiction, active addiction with pills as well, again. But also, yes, there is an emptiness that we try to fulfill. We addicts try to fill in with something. It doesn't matter if it's porn or sex or love or codependency or sports or drugs or alcohol. It really doesn't matter. These are all self-medication trials, but they end up to be a bad way of self-medication. But I don't think that in recovery, something has to be active. I mean, you don't have to be an active addict on any way. There are other things that can fill in the gap that is already there, like sports, not in an addictive way, or spirituality, or even religion, not in an extreme level or way. And then friendships, and then love. There are a lot of things that can and has to or have to fill in that gap in recovery.
Yeah, because the all these substances kind of like create a natural amount of signals, and so I believe many natural sources has to kind of, or is able to kind of replace that. When you were able to recover, what was helping you to eventually like completely quit? Did they help you to kind of slowly reduce the dose, and then did they help you anything mentally? How did that work?
Like I mentioned, I had to go to the hospital first because these amounts were extremely high that I took of especially sleeping pills. Um, they made a mistake, in my opinion, in the hospital, and they did not gradually take away the pills. But one day at home, I took the extreme amount of pills I did take, and then the next day, I didn't get anything. So I had a horrible seizure, and then I was on machines for a couple of days. So there was a mistake, but it was lucky that I was in a hospital, so they were able to save my life. And then when I went into rehab, they started to help me working through and teach me why I did start to use the substances, what I was trying to solve with it, how I have to live afterwards, and how I should seek for help and not to stay alone and go to these self-help groups and make friendships who are in recovery. So they actually helped me work out new solutions. And also, I had to realize that I had a problem with codependencies as well. So they helped me with that as well.
Makes sense. Okay, so well, that sounds drastic that they like took away all the things, that's for sure. But later on, if I understood correctly, they helped you to kind of discover what did you try to cope with basically on a mental level.
These are two different places. The hospital and the rehab are not related.
Okay, makes.
But yeah, both of them helped me in different ways.
Well, that's amazing though. I think that's very important to kind of discover the roots of the emotional problems really. That can help a lot. But it seems like you have become a lot better and you seem to have energy and all the social things.
Yes, my life changed drastically in recovery. When I was in an active addiction, like I mentioned, I used lot of sleeping pills daily. So I spent at least 14, 16 hours a day in bed. So I didn't really get out. I canceled all programs. Um, I got, I lost friends and lost relationships. So it was like a zombie lifestyle, sort of. And now, like I mentioned, I'll be clean. I'll be 7 years clean in October. So a lot has changed. I regained my friends. Um, I was able to separate from my ex-husband. Now I'm in a relationship in an amazing relationship with someone who's also in recovery. My fiance is going to become 20 years clean soon.
Oh,
So he's also a big help on a daily level. I'm hoping that I am a big help to him as well. Um, my relationship with my family uh, also improved so much. I got back my energy, that's correct. I have my new hobbies, new interests, and not to forget that I found a job that is not only a job, helping other addicts to lose active addiction and become sober and clean is something that I have never even imagined, and it really fulfills my life. So I wouldn't trade my past because it led to a future or a present now that is just fantastic.
wow. I think that's amazing when you are able to like convert or transform them, I guess, the mistakes of us and make something even better out of it. Like now, because of your mistakes, you have the compassion to help a lot more other people, and I think that's very fantastic, and I congratulate for you that. Uh, Also, how did you find your recovery helpful in helping others?
Thank you for the congrats. First of all, I think addicts are much trust much more people that also went through similar lifestyle and similar problems than they did. So it builds a special trust, a special bond between us. But also, um, I usually share with my clients how I solve things because what all addicts share is that they don't really learn or didn't really learn how to cope, these coping mechanisms that non-addict people learn. So if something critical happens, something terrible happens, someone who is not an addict will cry or will shout or will go out running, and someone who's an addict will use drugs or alcohol or something else abusively. So what we have to do in recovery is to learn these coping mechanisms. And the almost 7 years I spent in recovery, I learned from others, of course. I didn't invent them, but I already have these, or most of the coping mechanisms I need for life. And so then I can share them with clients and in the fellowship as well.
I really like that. That kind of you are helping also others to find healthy ways of coping with their problems, and then you can share your own experiences. And I do feel like I think that that could help a lot to build trust. To build trust with your clients. That's really good. And so if someone is starting on this journey, like recently, let's say I come to you and I tell you that I have a pornography addiction, what would be your, let's say, top 3 advice?
First of all, I would say that you made the right decision with asking for help, because that's usually the biggest difficulty, because usually it takes a while to realize that we have a problem, and not everyone is like that, but it's something problematic. And from there, it's a long way until we get to seeking for help. So you made the biggest step, and I think that's amazing and fantastic. The second advice is to don't give up, because it's going to be at least the first few weeks and then the first few months won't be easy. So you should stick and stay and learn about yourself and learn about your addiction. And then it's also a bit of a funny advice, but you have to try to do everything differently than how you did before. Learn new ways of coping with problems and with happiness as well, because we don't only use when we are sad or angry. It's also a good way to make our happiness even stronger.
Okay. That's actually, I haven't even thought about this before. That's interesting. That like for me it was mostly about my low points, but as you say, when someone doesn't learn to like process feelings like at all, that might conclude in even processing positive feelings this way. That's interesting. It's good too.
Exactly. And if we don't just talk about pornography, when you think of alcohol, especially in Hungary, but wherever in the world, when something great happens, alcohol is included for sure.
For sure.
And it shouldn't be that way. And of course, if alcohol was invented today and not thousands and thousands of years ago, it would be banned instantly, because there's no reason to have a liquid that changes your mind within a few minutes. So that would be something that is banned in a minute.
Yeah, I think that's interesting how much it's widely accepted to do that.
And supported as well.
Well, that's the other thing. There's too much marketing around it. And so, what should I do if I am too afraid to ask for help and I've been trying a lot to quit alone? Like, what would you suggest?
First of all, you need to know that you're not alone, and that helps a lot. Addiction, when it's growing, people are getting really, really alone, and we really think that nobody in the world other than us feels this way and goes this deep. But that's not true. So many people suffer from addiction, and so many people have dealt with addiction, thankfully. What I really would suggest is to, if you don't have the bravery yet to go and meet someone to help you, search for help online, because there are several places where you don't even have to attend or show your face or name. There are anonymous meetings for SLAA as well, and there you don't even have to show up. You can just listen to others, how they cope with this, and then hopefully you get the strength and then go to ask for help for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, to educate and well, let yourself experience everything you can, and I think that will open up the idea. I suppose you will see other people open up and be like, maybe it's not even that dangerous to share my feelings. So that's good. If students would love to find you somewhere, how can they find you?
I have a website. It is andrabe.hu, and sometimes I do English language counseling, so feel free to call me or write to me.
Is there any final thoughts you would like to share with the students?
You're at a wonderful place. You will get a lot of help here. I'm sure of that. And like I said, stick and stay. Don't give up, because recovery is possible.
Amazing. Andrea, thank you so much for being with us today, and I wish you a very good day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.